Thanks a lot for the kind introduction. I'll make the buzzwords a little bit more easy. So, hi, my name is Lutz. I'm the mad scientist, and I'm happy to present Cellbricks today. We are a Berlin-based biotech company, and we focus on bioprinting, meaning we have special tuned 3D printers, and what we do is we print living tissue. So, and bear with me, in the next 15 minutes, this will be the one-on-one bioprinting masterclass for you. After that, you can print your own livers and your own hearts. Why do I think bioprinting is a good idea? So we all want to get older, and suddenly we become 80, 90 years old, but our body is only made for a lifespan of, let's say, 30 to 40 years evolutionary. So our body is prone to failure. We can replace the hard stuff, for example, bones, joints, with metals and ceramics. Or we can use, for example, animal-derived materials such as pig heart valves, which require lifelong immune suppression. So there's a huge demand for donor organs. We need those livers and we need those kidneys. And my feeling is that bioprinting can play a role in this by printing the material. It might sound awkward at the moment when I say it, but I think all of us are young enough to enter something like this, bioprinted material, entering the human body on being a part of the, let's say, medical canon. So, and here the one-on-one starts. I'm a good scientist, but I'm mediocre on stage. And so I figured I do what I can do best, and I'm good in the lab. So I'm going to take you with me in the lab, and we are going to do the one-on-one printing on how this really works. So that's not like this weirdy scientific stuff, but like the hands-on stuff. So first ingredient that we need bioink. And by bioink, I mean like a biopolymer. Collagens, hyaluronic acid, like all the stuff that's, for example, expensive in your skincare. This is basically what glues the human body together. So your cells are basically connected via, for example, hyaluronic acid. So we need the stuff to print, ingredient one. Second ingredient that we need is your cells. So we take autologous cells from the patient. We can also use iPSC-derived cells, and we mix both. So now we have this beaker full of bioink and cells, and we load it into the printer. And besides that, we have to tell the printer what to print. So we need to give the printer or the bioprinter a build plan what to print. So we need a cut file. And now is the first moment where I think like, cut what? Let's stop talking about it. So I'm going to take you through it. What is a cut file and how do we do it? So here you can see basically a gyroid shape. It's a digital object. It's rendered on the computer. And I'm going to tell the printer to print something like this. So I'm building a virtual file first, a digital file that I give the printer as a build plan. And in this case, I choose something very complex. So I hope you can see it from the back. It's a gyroid shape. It's not an organ yet, but a gyroid shape is something like a mathematical defined object of an object with the least amount of material, but a large amount of surface area. So quite complex. And I chose this to basically give you an idea on how precise this can be. So we have it digitally rendered, and what we want to do right now is basically give it to the printer and let it print. So in the lab, this is how the generated object looks like. So we come from here, and we translate it to a physical object in this case. So now you have your gyroid complex shape made out of a biological material. It's far from an organ yet. So what you have right now, what you're seeing, is basically a sponge made out of collagen or hyaluronic acid. It's not an organ yet, but this is like the first thing that I want to give you is like how to basically translate the digital file into a physical object in the lab. So we have something in the petri dish right now. But let's do it with cells, and let's do it with multiple materials. So this is the view in the lab, and you can see the infamous beaker over there full with cells and bioink, and we load the printer. And on the left side, you can basically see our printer. Like this big chunk in the fume hood, this is basically our printer. And the cool part is we print with light. So right now you're looking at this cubic thing over there and being like, where's the extruder, where are the syringes that I emptied, how do you create it? The technology that we use and that we tuned is called stereolithography. It's nothing more than projecting light onto a polymer and it cures. So you can basically translate it in your head. I'm using a very sophisticated projector and I'm projecting a light onto my bioink, and wherever the light hits, it cures. Quite simple. And it's also nice to the cells. So there's no stress, no piezo elements, no extruders where the ink is pressed through. It's just by a light beam that hits basically my bioink, and there it cures. Sounds very simple. I'm trying to basically show you how it works in the lab. So there's the infamous beaker with the bioink. We load our printer, and then we have to start printing. We have generated a cut file. Now basically let's try to print something in the lab. And here's the how does it work in the lab thing. So we're doing it right now together. So the hard part is, since there are no extruders, it's kind of happening in this black thing over there. So whenever press and media come over, they're like, where's this magic thing happening? And I'm always like, it's down there in this beaker happening right there. So we have basically a view into the build plate where it's all happening. It's going quite fast. We are going to do it 1 or 2 times so that you get all the thing. And what's happening in this picture is basically the printing itself. Now, like this black thing moving up and down, this is our build plate. And we are good at printing with multiple materials, and we are going to do it again. So here's material number 1. The build plate is lowered in the build area, and now we are looking from underneath. You can see in this case, here's the projection onto the bioink, and it's quite fast. It's curing quite fast. And we are always printing with multiple materials because apparently I'm not looking the same. So we are made out of more than one cell type and more than one material. So you have to harvest a lot of different cell types and be able to work with them. And so you've seen it right now. I switched the bath. So we are working with a second material. And of course, right now, as for demo users, I'm just printing our logo. So right now, what you see is basically our logo made out of 2 different biomaterials, just to give you an impression how it works. So right now, we are printing complex stuff with multiple materials. So still not an organ yet. Where are the mini organs at? They look like this. So what you're seeing right now is here my fingertip, and then you're seeing basically a microscopic fluorescent picture, and what the psychedelic thing that you're seeing over there in green and red is soft tissue. The red part is fat cells, and I colored them for you to basically show them in the microscope, and the green part is vasculature that is perfusable, because whenever I create organ tissue, you want to perfuse it. You want to get the nutrients in and the waste out. So this is how it looks like. And the technology is quite powerful. So we printed multiple materials. It's not like this one thing, but we did like all kinds of different mini organs. Disclaimer, this is still in a petri dish. We didn't implant it into humans yet. So this is just the one-on-one in the petri dish, the material that we built, and they are tiny. So we are talking about millimeters. It's not like this bloody organ in my hand yet. And we did like hard stuff like cartilage or vasculature or soft stuff, or like from a perspective of touching it, liver tissue or pancreas, or even barrier models such as placenta. But in this case, and they are all peer-reviewed published, so I'm not going to do some front loading for you and basically give you all the scientific data. It's just for you, if you really want to care about the nitty-gritty scientific stuff, you can all look it up on the internet. It's all peer-reviewed published, so you get like the whole, how did you do it really in the lab, Lutz, if you care about it. And one more thing, I just talked about healthy tissue, but I can also print diseased tissue. Why that? The thing is, it's good for drug development. For example, we do a project together with Charité, it's a large hospital here in Berlin, and they have CAR T-cell therapy. It's like It's like an immune system on steroids, and they are used for basically tumor therapy. So what they want is, they want to pick the right CAR T cell clone for therapy. And what they get from us is basically the same tumor model over and over again, so that they can basically compare which of the CAR T cell clones works the best. And this is right now tested in humans. For example, did it work out to pick the right clone? Yes. But translating from here, still not in human, you're basically sitting there and waiting. So where are the printed organs at? Where's the implanted stuff at? And now I have to be kind of a bit careful. I know nobody likes this, but I'm German, so I'm always a little bit, there's always the word but in my scientific talks. Right now, we are at the point of translating the technology from the petri dish to humans. And we are not going to do this with a full organ yet, but right now we are doing two things. We are testing bone reconstruction with printed stuff and soft tissue. And this blob that you're seeing there right now is soft tissue that is implanted into the human. It's a risk-averse approach, I know, but we have to prove first that we can bring something into the human body that is basically not killing the human. So I have to prove basically, if I implant it, the body adopts the material and it's basically a part of the human body. And after like a few weeks or a month, you can basically check the patient and find out that you can't basically distinguish between the printed material or the natural material. So this is what we're doing with soft tissue right now. So for you, this looks like a white blob, but to me, this is like incredible hard engineering, and we are trying it now in humans. So I figured it's a tech conference. So when I first knew that I would talk here, I figured it would be talks first, basically crypto bros versus AI. And I was like, okay, I gotta have this one AI slide. Otherwise I get booed out of the room. And we have, it's not really AI, but we have something like over the course of our history, we ran into a problem with vasculature. Vasculature is quite hard. It's like the stuff we started off with. So whenever I print something that I want to implant, I need vasculature. And it's quite hard to design. So what we did is basically train an algorithm that I can give the algorithm like a shape that I want to print and tell the algorithm, look, I want that in this cube or whatever shape I give you, please generate a vasculature where the doctor can do an anastomosis once there's a surgery, and please connect certain areas in a special way. So this is basically, I can tell the algorithm, use a certain type of vasculature so that I get a result. This is how, but this is basically trained on our own data that we've obtained over the years so far. So this is basically the short one-on-one masterclass in bioprinting, and thanks a lot for sticking with me.